Yo, what is up, you guys? Darren's Doomsday back with another video here. This is gonna be a quick, short video because it's really just me ranting about 2K and about some of the issues that are in 2K that nobody's talking about. So, my brother and my friend and I play my league all the time. It's like the main thing we play in 2K. And this year, it has been the most frustrating process trying to just enter a league, trying to just create a league is so frustrating because every single time that we create a league, somebody in our group um has a ridiculous time trying to get into the league, and when they are in the league, it's even worse sometimes. So let me tell you what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when we get into the draft screen, which I'm going to try and show you here in a second. um it pops up and shows that you have a 30-minute countdown before you can start the draft. Like right here, see? Or it says I have an hour countdown. Now, what you're supposed to do is you go to change draft time and you turn your thing all the way down. I don't know if it's gonna do it this time. Um, but we literally just did a draft, and we sat at this screen for probably 10 to 20 minutes where we all were readied up. We changed the draft time. The person who made the league told 2K to advance to the draft lobby so that we can pick our players. And so usually when something like this happens, we just back out and we go back in and it'll fix itself. But this year, every single time that we back out and go back in, it takes at least 5 minutes to get back into the league, and then it will come back to the same screen. So then today, my brother and I did that at least 5 times. We backed out and went back in, and it would still be sitting here. So there's the first problem. The second problem is that when we got into the draft, it wouldn't start the draft. It would sit there and we had to wait for the 30-minute countdown to reach all the way to 0, and even then the draft still didn't start. So that's the second problem. Third problem, after the draft finally started, after we backed out again numerous times, my brother could not pick his players. It would let me pick my players for the entire draft, but for his entire draft, he could not select a single player. So, eventually, as the draft went on, it let him pick his players. So that's the third problem. The fourth problem is that after he picked a player, one player, he picked Damian Lillard. The CPU gave him, or 2K, instead of giving him Damian Lillard, gave him Ray Allen, 95 overall Ray Allen. And we were trying to do something different this league and make it so that we could only pick one superstar player that had won a championship. And then you were only allowed to pick two other 90 overall players to be on your team. So you can have a big three, and then you can pick whoever else you want, but they have to be below a 90 overall. So we were trying to pick specific players to build our team. So after Isaiah picks his player and it gives him a different player, it then goes back to you can't pick your players. Now the fifth problem is that I'm drafting. I'm picking all my players. It's letting me pick just fine. The draft ends. I get an error message. It kicks me out of the game. I go back in, enter the league perfectly fine. Nothing happens. I go to my team. None of the players I picked except one were on my team. And on top of that, the next problem, we're up to 6 problems now, is that when we basically just said, all right, fine, we'll just trade all these players and just get the players back that we want, like normal. So we put the trade negotiation value down all the way down to 0 so that when we trade players, we get like really, really, really good offers. Didn't get any. None. For Karl Malone, They didn't want to give me anybody. When I went to pick a specific player that I wanted to trade for on another team, they told me that there was no trade offers for him when obviously there would have been. Um, and the same thing was happening to my brother. We literally could not trade. The seventh problem that we've been having this year with my league is simulating takes forever. It took 2 hours to simulate a season for us. In one of our leagues, we were simming our games, and it took 2 hours. That's just unacceptable. Like, that is not living up to the standard that we expect for 2K. And that's not even the playoffs. After we simmed the season, we still had to sim the playoffs. That took another 2 hours. We didn't even play that day. We didn't even get to play against each other because it took so long to sim our games. Usually what we do is we play all of our regular season games and then we sim all of our games so that we all win so that nobody misses the playoffs because we're not really trying to play against the CPU. We're trying to play against each other. And then one other problem, problem number 8 that we're having is that about a week ago, I was playing against my buddy Keith, and 4 times in a row, we had to quit our game because the game started to move in slow motion, like literally slow motion. And by the way, I have noticed that I've started this draft screen. Nobody else is in this draft except me, and it still hasn't started. So I'm going to back out, and I'm going to go back in and see what it does. Alright, so I'm going back in. What's up? Welcome to the stream. Talking about 2K right now and about all of these issues that it's having. So far, we're up to 8 issues. Drafts don't work. Trading doesn't work in my league. It takes forever to get into my league. When we try to sim a season, it takes us 2 hours to sim the season, and then it takes us another 2 hours to sim the playoffs, and our games are moving in slow motion. We've had to quit 4 times in a row to be able to play one game. What else was there? Let's see. And then after see, now it's my pick. Now it's my pick. But I only have 20 seconds to pick a player now because it wouldn't let me pick a player earlier, as you guys saw. So I'm going to pick LeBron James. Yeah. And then at the end of the stream that my brother and I did, all of the players all of these players that I picked were switched out for different players. I only had one player, and that was LeBron James, who was on my team who I drafted. So, there's that. On top of that, usually, it's like right now, if I decided to sim the rest of this draft, I could click on Simulate Draft. My brother did that. After we get like all the players that we want, and we're kind of picking like garbage role players that nobody really cares about, we'll simulate the draft. So my brother does that. Draft doesn't sim. We had to wait for the entire draft to finish, which takes a long time. Even if the draft isn't messing up, it takes a long time to draft. That's why we simulate. And then at the end of it, I got an error message. It kicked me out of the game, and that was it. I go back in, can't trade. All my players are different. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And I know this year everybody's been like, "Oh, this is one of the best 2Ks," and like the gameplay is so great and all this. But I've had a lot of functionality problems with 2K since the day I got it. I got it early, and I was like, this is probably just because I got the game early. The servers aren't at 100% yet. Let me wait and see. But now it's been let's see, 2K came out in September 7th, I believe. It is November 11th, I believe, or November 10th. It's been 2 months, 2.5 months since the game has been released, and these problems are still here. And I don't see nobody talking about it, so I'm going to talk about it because it's so frustrating to play a game of 2K. There have been plenty of times this year where I haven't touched 2K because not even just my league, my team, my career, Play Now Online, there have been problems with every single game mode this year, and it's not acceptable. Like, there are so many times in my team where I will try to get into my team, and it will say that I can't connect to the servers. Now, somebody out there is going to be like, oh, it's probably your internet. It's not our internet. All of us have landline connections, meaning I have an Ethernet cord plugged into my PS4 and plugged directly into my router. There is no interference with my where is this dude? With um my internet. My internet is just fine, and I have a really good router. I have an expensive router. It's a gaming router. It's a very good router. So it's definitely not me. You know what I mean? It's definitely not my brother. He also has a very good router, and he has an Ethernet cable. The only one who plays on Wi-Fi is my buddy Keith, and his Wi-Fi is pretty good now. It used to be awful. Now it's pretty good. So all of these problems equal one thing. 2K, you need to fix your servers. It's as simple as that. Like, you need to fix your servers. It's not fun to play your game when 9 times out of 10, or maybe not 7 times out of 10, the game will either lag out, force one of us to quit, start going in slow motion, or here was one thing that they fixed this, but I will give them props for fixing this, but there was a point in time where if you got a turnover at any point, it would or no. If somebody got hurt, it would just stare at the player. The game wouldn't like move on. It wouldn't move on or progress or let you call a timeout or let you pause the game or anything. It wouldn't let you do anything. It would just watch them sit there on the floor groaning in pain. And you couldn't do anything about it. You just had to wait it out or close out your entire game. So I just wanted to make this video about that. It's extremely frustrating, and they need to fix this stuff because this is not acceptable. People have been complaining about 2K servers for a very long time, and every single year it's like we get the same servers. Although, I will say, I would much prefer last year's servers over this year's servers. It's just that simple. Like, and last year's servers weren't great either, but they were bearable. Like, you could get through a game. You could play. And this year, the only game mode I can consistently play without any interruption is my career. And that's it. That's it. So, make sure you guys hit up my YouTube channel at Darren Zoomsay. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. Peace out, guys.